Did it age well? Ugly Betty. I would give it on the age well score 0 out of 10 a 4. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Millennial Made right here from my home in Chicago. And this weather has me very upset because I'm sitting here thinking all I want to do in life is put on a flannel, possibly a vest, a beanie, obviously, and just take myself to an apple orchard. But no. It is 90 degrees in Chicago today. And do you know what I'm doing? I'm still wearing that flannel. Corduroy shirt, thick. Am I sweating? Absolutely. Is it worth it? Always. Always. My dog always decides when it's time to film the podcast to go absolutely feral and whip every single squeaky toy that he has. Yep, see? Oh, okay. I just opened a can of worms there. The beauties of podcasting from home, ladies and gentlemen. So today's episode is going to be an exciting one. I'm going to be trying out some new segments. You know, I've been listening to some podcast recommendations that the Rod Squad has given me, and I can hear him running. Jeez. And I have some ideas, and I'm excited. And I actually went to my friend Hannah Berner and Paige DeSorbo's show in New York, a live recording, and it was pretty cool to see the community coming around like or similar interests, which we could put into a segment. I told you, Branch, I need you to pause. Hit pause, Branchy. Branch is my dog's name. Okay, here. That's enough. So, I did want to touch on something that I've been kind of experiencing. And I honestly wanted to get your thoughts on this too. So if you have thoughts on it, please send in via DM. You can always DM me. The friendship fade away. I feel like in life we have all these friendships that we create, relationships that we create over time, whether they're platonic, romantic, that turn to friendship. And sometimes we put more pressure on friendships than we do a relationship with a significant other. And I guess friends could be a type of significant other. And we really do think of all the good times we've had, but oftentimes friendships fade away. And especially if you've been friends with someone for a long period of time, you're going to have moments where you fight, you have a difference, but sometimes it can turn into a toxic environment, and toxicity oftentimes will be the hardest thing to get past in a friendship. And, you know, I've even had friendships where someone has said something I can't quite get over. I've had friendships with differing beliefs that won't budge, especially growing up in religion, which is fine. And I will say I give up more easily than others. But if you are losing sleep, if you are finding yourself in a friendship situation where you can't come to an agreement on something that is causing you not to talk, my biggest piece of advice is evaluate, see what the friendship did offer, what you got out of the friendship, how much you've matured since you became friends with that person will oftentimes affect things as well. And if it is time to move on, or just even accept that the friendship might not be the same level it was before. That's another big one. Oftentimes I feel like, you know, it's a little bit of hurt. It's like we don't talk anymore. We don't talk as much. People move cities. People move careers too. I know that's a big one, is with a work friend. And I just talked about this on We Met at Acme's podcast, how work relationships can, you know, kind of alter your life in certain ways. You spend so much time with them at work or talking through work. But when you have different careers, you have different schedules. You know, you can't see their calendar. And then there's this pressure that, oh my gosh, I moved on, and it can often cause anxiety because it's like, I don't want to lose these friendships. But you're not losing the friendship. You're simply continuing on focusing on yourself. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. Every opportunity is a learning experience. So take what you got out of that friendship. You probably did learn how to communicate. You don't even realize it, especially if they are a longtime friend. And just love what it was, love what it is now, if it is still something. But I feel like the more pressure that can go onto a friendship or relationship oftentimes will be more hurtful than kind of embracing where you're at. Speaking of relationships, I wanted to talk to you all about something that I haven't really opened up too much on the internet about, because oftentimes, there's a lot of mental health is a rough subject, because there's a lot of conversation around it. And you want to make sure you're saying the right things, be politically correct, or not use it as a joke or humor unless it could be warranted. This is Suicide Awareness Month, with the day specifically last week. And we've heard about suicide, at least I have, since elementary school in certain ways, and how to talk to friends or how to check in on people, make sure they're okay. And I think for me, if anyone out there is listening that maybe relates, I've, had ideation in the past, which basically isn't, look it up yourself, more often than I have, but there have been moments where I've come very close to an edge, even in the past year, that I thought I couldn't go back on. And I had hurt, and I had thoughts of I won't be able to fix something, and, you fail. And that's where I would encourage anyone just to have the support group. But again, if you don't, there are resources. So I know that you can, the suicide hotline number, I think, just changed. Let me see what it is. The suicide hotline number is 988, 3 numbers. And those are trained professionals. And just always realize your value and always seek the help you need. Be honest, be open if you feel comfortable with people. You're never an inconvenience. You're always loved, and you have people in your life that love you. I'm one of them. You can always reach out to me. I'll do my best to answer. But yeah, it's never worth that much to sit and ruminate and overthink, because a lot of times that's where I can get thoughts as well. And I have a great therapist, and I love my therapist. I love my psychiatrist. I just started Lexapro, which is a serotonin pill, I guess, medicated by my psychiatrist, and I'm loving it. I've been taking it in 2 days, so I can't really tell a difference. So I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of regain my thoughts. I feel like my head, does anyone else feel like this, where their head is like the Tasmanian devil running around in circles like a tornado, and it is impossible to nail down that one thought? And that's my goal, is small goals, is to be able to kind of clear the brain fog so I can see my thoughts and process my thoughts effectively, because I feel like I'm having a very difficult time with that at this point in my life. Okay. Should we move on to the segments? I know for me, when I think of high quality meals, you think a lot about price. Going out to eat is better than making food in. But with ButcherBox, you can always get a quality meal because you're getting the best meat possible, and meat you got to choose yourself. ButcherBox, basically what they do is they take the guesswork out of finding high quality meat and seafood that you can really trust. It is 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood, and it's humanely raised. So there's no antibiotics or added hormones that you have to worry about putting into your body. And what's really cool is, for the continental US, there's no surprise fee either. It's free shipping, and you get what you want right to your doorsteps. And it's really good value because you can enjoy a range of high quality cuts that are hard to come by at the grocery store at an amazing value, and exclusive member deals so you can save big on your favorite cuts too if you keep shopping with ButcherBox. So you can actually find recipes, tips, and some even hacks for cooking your meat, so you can always make the most mouth-watering meals. I made tacos with this the other day with the meat that I got in my ButcherBox, and my freezer is now always stocked because I love going to the grocery store, but when it comes to meat, I get a little, iffy on what cut to choose, and it's really nice that ButcherBox kind of takes that thought process out for me. So I wanted to help you try your first ButcherBox so you can take chicken breasts off your grocery list. ButcherBox is offering our listeners an incredible deal that haven't been offered before. It's free chicken for a year. So you can get 2 pounds of free range organic chicken breasts for free in every order when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Rod and use code ROD. Again, you can get this deal at butcherbox.com/ROD and use code ROD at checkout. So I have something I want to call my top 8. So it's 8 things that happened recently in this week, things that I'm thinking about. Number 1, Black Ariel. The fact that Ariel is being played by Halle Bailey, who, in my opinion, was built for this role. If you've listened from her early career, she has this really clean, crisp voice that Jodie Benson portrayed in Little Mermaid. But I think it's just the discourse that people are so upset that Ariel is black and not white. And the arguments that some people are using are absolutely absurd. Where it's like, oh, well, redheads, have been coming out and saying, I've always imagined an Ariel that looked like me because I had red hair and that's been ruined. It's like, you all have red hair. This Ariel is going to have red hair. Or the fact that mermaids aren't black. And what I want to say to that is mermaids aren't real. Mermaids are fish that are half human, half fish. The story is about a girl meeting a sea witch who could promise her legs and give her legs. So you want to say that a mermaid can't be black is just the most absurd way to show your microaggression. I'm really excited. She sounded amazing in the trailer. Someone leaked a full video of the song from the Disney Expo, and I truly think she was built from this role. Melissa McCarthy is playing Ursula. She and I went to the same high school, which is something I always say about Plainfield, Illinois, and we had a terrible tornado in 1990. Terrible tornado. Okay, next. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I was scrolling my TikTok For You page, and it was like a man on the street type video, and someone says to someone else, what are your favorite fashion trends right now? Or what are your favorite fashion brands to buy right now? And her response was Vintage Wet Seal and Von Dutch. Vintage Wet Seal really got me. We've known about the Von Dutch trend for a while now, but Vintage Wet Seal. Because to me, that poses a question. How did your Wet Seal last 20 years? That it is now being able to be sold as vintage. How? Wet Seal isn't even in existence anymore. So if you have some Wet Seal stuff lying around, you could probably make a fortune. Just saying. I'm just saying. Next one, I thought this was very exciting and a great company to highlight, and maybe we'll work that into a segment as well. But I'm not sure if you all saw this, but the Patagonia founders give away its entire $3 billion worth to fight climate change. Like I said, I want to pick an apple. So I'm very grateful for this because it shows the signs of a good company. I would want to work for this company. It's a smart move as well, obviously, to help the environment. I know that's first and foremost why they're doing it, but also it shows value for the lives of their employees because they want their employees to live in a safe world. So I really loved reading this headline, reading the article. The article that I read was the Good News Network, but I think it was a stem from CNN. And it is just a really encouraging step, I think, as we talk with the companies that we've been working for, taking steps in mental health, taking steps in prioritizing life outside of work, paid parental leave. But this $3 billion donation to fight climate change was a new and very effective way, I think, to show the value of working for a company like Patagonia. So thank you, Patagonia. I'm not sure if you all saw, but Britney Spears came under fire this week for a quote that I won't read, but it kind of has connotations of fat shaming, especially the caption. She compared her dancers to Christina Aguilera's backup dancers and used some pretty intense words. And I just thought it was interesting to see people like, nah, this isn't it, Britney. Nah, this ain't it. But then her defense, I'm not defending her defense, but her defense was like, this is how I felt. And I have never had control of anything to be able to even have my own dancers because people wanted me to look a certain way on stage. And I think that just kind of goes to show the amount of pressure that Britney Spears has been brought up with. Again, not defending her, but I just thought it was really interesting outside perspective, being on both sides of, the Britney Spears thing, seeing her, to be honest, seeing her shave her head, I'm like, wow, she must be going through it, to now saying, yes, she was going through it, but here's why. So social media can be very dangerous, especially when there was the rumors of someone else running her account, which there still are those rumors. There's still rumors that she has another care of someone else, but as far as we know for sure, she's free. Paramore is releasing new music. Paramore announces its first new single in 5 years called This Is Why. And you better believe I will be sitting up till midnight, the Thursday night before its release, whenever it is. Oh, they announced the release date. Oops, I'll tell you right now. My bad. But I will be sitting up waiting for it to drop because I have, first of all, nothing better to do. But secondly, I love Paramore, and I know that you all do as well. Here we go. 20th September. Next week, guys. We will be getting new Paramore. So maybe I'm going to listen to old Paramore all the way up to next week too. Exclusively only Paramore. And I know they've been doing a small little tour as well. So it seems like Haley and the gang is back in full swing, which we're not mad about. I still think MySpace should do a little relaunch for a couple days. Trisha Paytas. Do you guys all know who Trisha Paytas is? I just found out about her when I got on TikTok, but I know people have known about her for a while longer from YouTube. Trisha Paytas is an American YouTuber and singer. This is Wikipedia. American YouTuber and singer. Paytas' YouTube channel consists of a wide variety of content, including lifestyle-oriented vlogs, music videos, and mukbangs, which is food TikToks. As of July 2022, she has accumulated roughly 5.15 million subscribers and 1 billion lifetime views. She's chaos to watch. It's one of those things where if you watched it, you wouldn't understand, but you would secretly love it, and not so secretly, but she's very controversial. Very controversial. So definitely do some research into who Trisha is. But they had a baby. Trisha Paytas welcomes first daughter, Malibu Barbie. They named their daughter Malibu Barbie. So that'll kind of give you an idea of who Trisha is. And finally, it is Gilmore Girls season, y'all. Fire it up. If Netflix ever takes Gilmore Girls off its platform, because at the end of this month, Schitt's Creek is off, which is already devastating. There will be picket signs in the street if Gilmore Girls decide to take Netflix off. I feel like this generation as a whole, we would come up together and fight Netflix on that decision. Because what? This is what I do. Is this manifesting something bad to happen? I don't think so. But I create a scenario in my head, and then I convince myself that it's the scenario that's going to happen, and then spiral with that, run with that, because why not? You got to love it. You got to love the spiral thought. Okay. I also wanted to start a new segment called Did It Age Well? I used to love watching new shows, but recently, just with my mental capacity and, how the past year has been, everything I've been going through, I've just been like rewatching old shows and having it in the background as like kind of background noise while I zone out and overthink everything I said that day. Right now I'm rewatching Ugly Betty, starring America Ferrera, Vanessa Williams, Rebecca Romaine, which that's an issue. It is so nostalgic to watch because you get to see, you know, all the fashion trends, but the amount of microaggressions that are said, first of all, about Betty being Hispanic. They call her very offensive things as a joke for a punchline, but also the fat shaming. Oh my God. That's a prime example of saying that, you know, America Ferrera, who is not fat at all, which also, if she was, that's also great. Using that as a comparison of how people shouldn't look, I think is just so terrible. I know for me, brain fog will literally take me out completely. And as millennials, you know, we all want to turn back the clock, especially being in my 30s. I know I would love to wake up every morning with zero brain fog, a clear mind, and be as energized as I was when I was younger. And I know specifically for work around like 2 o'clock, you know, it just gets so hard to focus. But thanks to First Person, I could take a more active role in my brain's overall health. After witnessing the deterioration effects of Alzheimer's that it had on their father and grandfather's cognitive health, brothers Chris and Joe were determined to take their brain health into their own hands. So 25 years later, after research and a lot of experimentation, they created First Person, which is an innovative, precision-targeted cognitive supplement system, which uses the brain-boosting medicinal benefits of mushrooms to activate the full potential of human cognition and brain health. First Person supplements made with functional mushrooms aims to stimulate the body's natural production of specific neurotransmitters that trigger activities like energy, mood, and sleep. And First Person also uses 100% grain-free organic mushrooms as well as a highly curated blend of nutraceuticals sourced from the best-in-class vendors. I personally love using Sunbeam, which encourages motivation and focus. It keeps me really productive, especially when I'm at work or if you're learning and taking in information. I know that's another source of brain fog, and it feels clear, alert, and inspired. So you can start improving your brain health and cognition with First Person. Get 15% off your first order by going to getfirstperson.com and use code ROD. Again, that's GETFIRSTPERSON.com, code ROD for 15% off your first order. Getfirstperson.com, code ROD. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any sort of disease. I thought there were a lot more seasons to Ugly Betty, but I think one of the biggest, so random to plot lines that wasn't necessary at all, was Rebecca Romaine. So basically in the show, Rebecca Romaine, who is a model married to Jerry O'Connell, in the show plays one of the main characters as this brother who everyone thought died 2 years ago, but is now returning as a woman. And at first it was like they went through a sex change in order to fool their family, but now they are using it as an opportunity of saying this is how they've always wanted to be, which more power to them. But I just think the fact that it was played by this gorgeous supermodel instead of using a trans actor or actress to portray the role was very interesting and kind of tone deaf. And at that time, you think they would have figured that out. Another shocking thing is one of the executive producers is Selma Hayek, who's very into human rights. I thought that was really interesting that she's kind of behind this project. Again, very nostalgic. The outfits are amazing. The clothing. One of the episodes they're wearing that. Remember that? Oh my God, remember those? That dress. And I think it happened with the shoe too. And I forget what year it happened, like 2015 maybe. That dress that everyone couldn't tell what color it was. It was black and blue, but people thought it was pink and gray or something like that. Remember Laurel and Yanni? We thought that was comedic gold. The funniest thing. It's not even that funny. Wow. There's this trend going around on TikTok of Gen Z creators making fun of millennials. And I'm not saying it's valid by any means. Some of them I'm like, oh, that's funny. And it's very exaggerated, calling it doggo, talking a lot about Harry Potter. But that kind of reminded me of that as well. My plant, something good that happened to me this week. You can see it here. I have it next to me for a reason. My plant started what's called, after some research and asking my friend Bill what this is, and this is a gift from Bill. This is an Ariel root right here, this little guy. And I don't know what to do with it. It just means a healthy plant. But someone's like, oh, it wants to grasp something to wrap onto. Oh my God, there's more roots coming out. I think, does that mean you need to replant it and it wants to get bigger? You guys, I know nothing about plants. And this is fascinating. So maybe I do need to get a bigger pot. This means that I'm a good plant dad, doesn't it? I've not failed. I've persevered, if anything. You know, one of my most toxic traits is starting something and not following through with it. But this, I've been very diligent with. Everything else in life, no. Terrible. Last time we talked, I was so close to finishing a book and I haven't picked it up in 2 weeks. What's that about? Fascinating. Please keep the book recommendations coming. I put on my Instagram that if everyone could please strictly send me cooking reels and TikToks, that would be great. Many people growing up watched ESPN, SportsCenter, Nickelodeon, Disney, Home Shopping Network, TLC. Me, I was a Food Network boy. I had Rachel Ray's 30-minute meals on as a disc set. I had the entire season and I would watch it falling asleep. The comfort that gave me. So the fact that we have so much at our fingertips on TikTok, you know, Chef John Kung is one of my favorite chefs to follow. Cooking with Cherie is always a good one. And there's this new trend going around though that I wanted to bring up to you all called a Butterboard. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Basically what it is instead of a charcuterie board, someone's taking what is a charcuterie board and they're spreading butter on it that they put, you know, garlic on it, or they put all these herbs, and then you just take a piece of bread and dip it through the Butterboard instead of a charcuterie board. And as we mentioned, I'm already a dairy king. I love dairy in many forms, and my stomach doesn't, but I do. But this butter situation really, I don't know if I'm on board with it. I think it's a 50-50 yes, no. So let me know what you think below. If you think Butterboards should be a thing or shouldn't be a thing. There's a rumor going around that High School Musical, the series, the TV show on Disney Plus, next season will be featuring the cast from the original High School Musical. And this would explain a lot, because there was that picture of Vanessa Hudgens took outside the original high school, but then Zac Efron also did, which I have thoughts on the Zac Efron thing. I'm sure you guys have seen Zac Efron. His face looks a little different. And he said it was from a shattered jaw that he had to have surgery on, but a lot of people just think it's like plastic surgery gone wrong. And let him live his life. I think the pressure, I can't even imagine the pressure of being this heartthrob, clearly attractive. Everyone thinks you're attractive. Everyone's attracted to you. One minor flaw, one minor change, everyone thinks you're someone different or you're changing. Imagine if he came on the scene and looked like that now as he did back then, he would still be attractive. All that to say. And I just can't even imagine the pressure. And he's kind of addressed it, and a lot of Hollywood is addressing the impact that social media takes. And it does, guys. As a creator on so many apps or this podcast, it can be paralyzing. The comments are terrifying. It costs 0 cents to be nice. So if you are commenting on someone's condition that you know nothing about, like we even talked about the Britney effect, I think it's maybe time to do a little reevaluation on yourself. And I'm excited for some upcoming guests and upcoming things on this podcast, having, a reading expert on to talk about the differences in learning between adolescents now and when we were children, and just kind of in a self-discovery phase. So you guys are seeing a lot of the real me right now. And I just want to thank you for everything you all have given me, especially, like I said, this month is really important to bring awareness to mental health in many different capacities, but specifically with suicide awareness, that it does happen, and it happens a lot in men and women. But like I said, you never know what someone's going through. So check in on your friends, make sure they feel loved in whatever capacity you're able to give that to them, and just know that what you see isn't always what's actually going on, and to be understanding of people wanting to protect their peace or protect their space because they know their boundaries. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Millennial Made. My name is Rod. Like, subscribe, and comment below, like I said, your thoughts on that Butterboard. Have a good one, everyone.